Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the SCB Steelers Inside Blitz, presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. Today's date is July 23rd, 2025, which many of you know because that's the day the Pittsburgh Steelers formally kicked off the 2025 season by arriving to camp at St. Vincent College in Latrobe. And what I can report to you is that everybody's there. We don't have any holdouts or anything like that. The only real major issue, if you want to call it that, is Isaac Seumalo is a little dinged up. Mike Tomlin did not seem overly concerned about it, so I don't think any of us should be. As a veteran and former Super Bowl champion, I'm not real worried about Isaac. I think he'll be fine. If this were one of the younger guys, I might be a little more concerned because they need as many reps as they can get, the communication, all the stuff that goes into being a formidable offensive line. So that's really about it. There wasn't anything in terms of excitement and stuff. I don't think anybody arrived in a helicopter or a tractor or on the back of a drone or anything like that. It seemed to be pretty straightforward today, which for me, that's great. It's good. Let's get after it. And tomorrow will be the first day that the guys will get on the field and really start getting after it and everything. And, I was writing this week, for SteelCityBlitz.com, shameless plug as always. And, I was trying to think back many, many years, when I was a kid, spring training was always kind of the big deal in sports. And baseball was at that time, arguably, but it was America's pastime, and spring training always meant, the return of baseball, the boys of summer. But it also meant that winter was in fact going to end at some point, which is good. It's different now. It just is. Football is clearly America's number one sport, both college and pro. And we look forward more to these days. Back then they got a brief mention that the guys reported to camp on your local sports station, and that was about it. And it is amazing as much as it's grown. Pat McAfee's show will be in Latrobe. A week from today, they'll do their show from there. The fact that so many people show up to St. Vincent for this as fans, national media, it's truly amazing what it's become. And on that note, I've had the fortune to be at training camp a few times, and if you haven't done it, make it something on your agenda to do. Getting to a game obviously is usually number one on most people's list, and understandable. Okay. But don't dismiss going to training camp if you get the opportunity, especially if you have kids and they like to get up close to these guys and they like the chance to get autographs and everything else. And it's just a great experience. You're surrounded by people very like-minded as you are. They are passionate. They are decked out in the black and gold, just like you probably will be. They'll likely be sweating just as much as you because it gets hot there, and it gets even hotter when the humidity sets in and just sinks down into the valley there where the fields are. But it's a pilgrimage you need to do at least once during your Steeler fandom, and you won't be disappointed. It's just a great experience being that close to the guys and seeing how things operate and whatnot. So I highly suggest it. So like I said, other than Isaac Seumalo, everybody's good to go. And we'll get into a lot of the position battle type stuff tomorrow night on the podcast coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern, live on our YouTube channel. I think everybody should be available. All four of us clowns will be there, so it should be a great show as always. But there's not a ton in the way of position battles this year. Most starters are locked in. That doesn't mean there aren't going to be some questions. Okay. Punter, for example, I think almost every one of us assumes Cam Johnson is the guy. Of course, he was signed last year and had a horrible knee injury in the very first game down in Atlanta. Corliss Waitman came in, did a very nice job in reserve. So those two will battle it out. I have every expectation that Cam Johnson will win that, but you never know. Okay, you just don't. I think the running back situation is going to be really interesting to me in terms of who does Mike Tomlin want to be his number one. Does he want more of the Caleb Johnson type to be the number one, and then you get the change of pace guy with Jalen Warren coming in, or Kenneth Gainwell coming in? Or does he want Warren to be the guy? I don't know. It's been a real interesting transition for Mike Tomlin. Let's not forget this was a guy who believed in having a bell cow. The guy that was going to carry the ball the majority of the time, and he's made some changes in that philosophy. He is more willing to give other guys opportunities during the course of a game over his career. So we'll see how that shakes out. Obviously, the big questions about who plays free safety. Are we set at wide receiver? Do they feel like they got to go out and get somebody? And again, those are things that are not going to be answered tomorrow. They're not going to be answered next week, but they will be answered over the next several weeks. Now, the one big thing is injuries. If you get injuries, then those things take care of themselves, and you are forced to go get or find other talent to replace what's lost. But as of right now, it's where I see it. I still come back to the fact that the offensive line is going to make or break this entire year. Yep, I can point to other positions as well, cornerback, safety. But right now, if that group comes together and plays really, really well and consistent, runs the football, protects Aaron Rodgers, then I think we could be in for a special year. If they don't, then you know how that goes. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. The Steelers unveiled their throwbacks for this year. And look, man, when I was a kid, I used to get involved with this stuff. I used to like the idea of it because when I was growing up, it didn't matter really what level you were playing at, whether you were playing in just your basic rec league or you were playing in a citywide little league or something like that. You had one uniform. That was it. You had one uniform. And then as you kind of got into like high school and stuff, then like, oh my God, you mean I wear a different jersey when I don't play here? And whoa, different pants? Well, that's kind of cool. But even then we didn't have things like, alternate jerseys, and we didn't have all these different things. And I'm not knocking it. It's amazing. Obviously it sells, and that's really the biggest reason they do this stuff. Don't kid yourself, because that's what it is. And so the Steelers came back, and I was a little surprised. I thought this was going to be the Batman jerseys, which were around, I want to say like 67, 68, somewhere in that ballpark. They were only around a couple years, and I know they haven't done them yet. And I thought, now's the time. And my thinking was, why not wait 7 or 8 years? You get the 100th anniversary of the Steelers coming up, all right, in 2033, and that would have been the time to come out with these uniforms celebrating the 1933 team. It just seemed logical to me. Now, these jerseys are reminiscent of the ones that the team wore back in the 1990s. You'll remember like the Barry Foster era, the gold jersey with the city emblem on the front and everything. Now they're a little different. Style is slightly different. Plus they've got a number on the front now, whereas those didn't. I'm not crazy about them. If you are, great. I have one of the older from the 50s throwback jerseys, I think it is. I'm not going to go nuts over one way or another, but I do find it interesting. We're scheduled to wear these in prime time against Green Bay. So that means you've got two teams with gold, yellow helmets. The Packers will be wearing yellow pants, white jerseys. The Steelers will be wearing khaki, I guess, tan pants, and a gold jersey. I feel bad for the quarterbacks. I would really like to see the Steelers rethink this a little bit, maybe do this a different night. I know they won't. It is what it is, but because it's already scheduled and planned. But it just seems to me that that's going to be a lot of gold and yellow running around on the field of Acrisure Stadium. And what can I tell you? I think it would be a little bit confusing, but we'll see where that goes. But in any case, that's what they've done. They've got the throwbacks, and I think they'll wear the color rush again this year, at least once. I'm not totally up to date on that. But at the same time, my hope is this: I don't want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers become the Oregon Ducks. Okay. Apparently the LA Chargers are getting close to that. Well, what did they unveil last week? Like 7 or 8 different uniform combinations. I like tradition. And we really, arguably and selfishly, we have one of the best uniforms in the National Football League. And until they bring back permanently the block numerals, then I'll call it the absolute best. But my banging of the drum of that continues, and it has since the 90s when they switched, but I'll not stop. I just won't do it. Anyway, make sure you tune into the show coming up tomorrow night. It's the SCB Steelers podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated. It's a great time. We have a great group in the chat. We have knowledgeable, fun people. So stop by, check it out. It'll be 10 p.m. I'll kick out the link to that on our social media pages and stuff, X, Facebook, Instagram, all that wonderful stuff. So check us out tomorrow night. And if you can't, you can always catch the audio version through a series of platforms. And then, of course, you can also just check out YouTube to catch up with the recording. So the season is upon us, and we're excited about it. We've got a lot to talk about tomorrow night and probably for the next 5 months. But we love it, and hope to see you tomorrow night. And as always, go Steelers.